Let's give it up to Marine Sergeant Brian McGinnis, who was just released from the hospital and from custody.
Took an oath to defend this country from enemies, foreign and domestic, and we're facing domestic enemies right now. Our leaders are in cahoots with Israel, and they're leading America into unprovoked wars, and that's not right, and we got to stand up against it. The American citizens have to say no to our government's choices, and we don't want war, so that's why we're speaking up. And free Palestine, and Palestine is our strength. The Palestinians are suffering far worse than any of this, so it gives us unending strength. So here we are.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Let's give a big shout out to this very brave man who clearly put himself in harm's way, and we all saw what happened to him. And he is going to be making his rounds on the circuit. We've been helping out, getting him into contact. I don't think they're related. I could be wrong, but Brian is married to a Palestinian woman, practicing Muslim. Sometimes interfaith does work. But credit where credit is due. And we're hopeful to have him on the show pretty soon. We've already reached out through email. Same is true for a handful of other really solid independent media pieces that are out there. And we're hopeful that his message will get as far and wide as possible. And hopefully there will be some justice for what was done to him at the hands of Senator Sheehy. Good morning, Terry. Thank you for being with us. Now, the one thing that's allowed our channel to grow exponentially has been the support from overseas. You know, we obviously get heavily suppressed here in the States, but overseas, it does seem like a lot of people have been checking out our channel, which is great. And it obviously means a lot. You know, it's funny, when you think about some of the other companies, major corporations, take McDonald's, for example. The type of food that is served here in the States is a lot different than the food that's served overseas. And I am sure that the restrictions on social media are a lot different in different places than they are here. So when our channel gets buried, it should not come as any surprise. It's par for the course in what we do. But that is the cross that has to be bared, no pun intended. We are in a situation where speaking truth to power will become infinitely more precarious and even dangerous. If I thought I had a bullseye on my back already, believe me, speaking with Stu Peters, now the bullseye just got a whole lot bigger. But as I said, I can't stand around idly by and not try to do everything in my capacity to use the platform that we have cultivated to try to bring some semblance of sanity to not just this country, but to around the world, so that people understand what's going on. And that much as we, time and again, do everything in our capacity to distinguish the difference between Jews and Zionist Jews. And the same is true for Christians and Christian Zionists. It is incumbent upon us to do the same as we are approaching a world war situation. Now, as Jen has brought up, and I agree, if there is going to be this dissension amongst the ranks in the military, there is no way that they are going to be able to move forward as a united front. And you're talking about a ground war in Iran, and you're having the Zios led by Naftali Bennett on behalf of Netanyahu's saber-rattled Turkey. I mean, I really hope people understand how precarious our situation is and how not speaking up is to a considerable amount of great detriment. I parse this with the fact that I did decide to speak up on social media the other day. And it obviously got me a lot of flack. And today I got a message on the page directly from somebody who I was working with in commercial real estate and told me to remove his listing and to never contact him again. Now, this is not a Jewish man. This is a Christian Zionist. I don't need to dig in any deeper. I didn't have to. I didn't know that he was, but I sure as hell know now. And let me tell you why I'm telling you this. And this cost me a lot of money. I'm not going to say how much it was because it's really not important. What is important is understanding why this is so significant. This is significant for a very important reason. Because of the fact that I decided to speak up publicly and cost myself a considerable chunk of money, let's just say in the tens of thousands of dollars, this is why people don't speak up. They don't speak up because we live in a capitalist system where at any moment they can pull the rug out from under you and take away your livelihood. And then what are you going to do? And that's what I'm left with now. I have to bear that burden that perhaps maybe there are other consequences that are going to come from me speaking up. Maybe there are other people out there who are not going to say anything. They're just not going to work with me. They're going to feign ignorance or keep things quiet, whatever. But I have to be able to lay my head down at night knowing that I did everything I could for humanity, because I can't live with myself if I don't, because somebody's got to try. And that's the risk that I'm willing to take. I cost myself a lot of money by speaking the truth. There's a lot of people out there who would like to speak the truth, but they don't. Gee, thanks, Jen. That's very reassuring. A friend of mine who is very successful, he actually reached out to me with a premonition saying, I hope you understand. This was a few days ago before I got the message today. He said, I hope you understand that this is likely going to cost you business. And I said, yeah, I realize that. And I'm willing to take that risk because I believe in this and I know it's the right thing to do. And he proceeded to tell me how much he admired me and appreciated what I was doing. This is a man who, like me, has been at the bottom. He once lived out of his car. Today, he's a multi-asset owner and he drives a Ferrari. That's how much he changed his life around. But he won't say those things that I'm saying publicly. And I'm sure he has his reasons, but in retrospect, if I know that somebody like him is backing me up, even if he can't say it publicly, that still means more than what most are willing to do. And to that, it means a lot. And on that point, I hope people understand the great financial risks that come with saying what needs to be said. Heck, Susan Sarandon put out, sort of a referendum on everything that's been going on not too long ago. She basically said for the last few years, I mean, listen, Susan's not complaining. How could she? She's worth tens of millions of dollars, but she doesn't get acting roles anymore. If you believe that you can be shut off completely, you can. Brian McGinnis is a hero, and he is going to be without use of his left arm probably for a couple of months. And as a result, he's going to have a hard time making money. Who knows what the fire department is going to do for him? But Lord knows the Zios will be out in full swing trying to get him fired from his fire department. They're already trying to charge him with assaulting a police officer, which is insanity. But thankfully, we live in a day and age where things are caught on camera and we know what happened. So this is why it is imperative that we continue to formulate these working relationships, however at a distance they may be in some cases. But just know that when you go out this upcoming week, and in some instances, your gas prices will be $5 a gallon, $6 a gallon, $7 a gallon. That's a lot of money. And for most people, they can't afford that type of reach when it comes to being able to commute to work, among other things. And this is just the start. You think about how much more expensive basic goods and services are going to get. Oh, they're going to get worse. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be tough. But hey, Israel has the right to feel safe.